All the sales letters that I'm talking about here today, you can get from this big book. It's in these big books, plus dozens of others from people like Gary Halbert, Eugene Schwartz, Mel Martin, Robert Collier, John Caples. I mean, it goes on and on and on. David Ogilvy, some of the best ads you've ever seen from 1900 until today. Some of the most recent ones, actually some that are currently running right now. All right, let's keep going. Here's another very cool ad that you couldn't run today, but you could kind of frame your ad similar to this. It's just another a great ad for inspiration to look at and why it works so well. So check this out. It's a doctor and a nurse, the doctor-nurse clearly, why the doctor gives his patients Schlitz beer. So look at that headline. We got crazy curiosity because we're thinking, why the heck would a doctor give a patient Schlitz beer? But there's also some proof in there, right? Because a doctor is giving a patient Schlitz beer. So, you know, it has some authority there, like, well, man, if a doctor's giving it to a patient, it must be pretty good. And then you're like, well, why would a doctor give it to him? But maybe that makes sense. I don't know. And now you're into the copy, and that's the goal of the headline, right? The goal of the headline is to get your reader to read the first sentence, right? You got to get them in the copy. So here it is. And then it starts out with this question, answer, response. And check out some of these questions. Of course, they're tied up in objections and benefits. Nurse, why is it, doctor, that you use beer instead of malt extract? First logical question. Doctor, Schlitz beer, nurse, became Schlitz beer, nurse, because I have found that my patients assimilate it better and that there are no ill effects. Have you ever found anyone under your charge who did not benefit from it? There you go, right? So that would be the second logical objection it would have, like, well, does it work for everybody? Pretty cool, right? Nurse, no, doctor. While some patients at the hospital where I was before were sickened by malt extract, I have never noticed such a result from Schlitz beer here. Even those just recovering from an operation retain Schlitz beer. Often it is the only food they can take. So that's the objection, right? Does it work for everyone? The response is yes, we've never seen an issue. It works for everybody thus far. Very cool. All right, third one, doctor, it is the best nourishment. Crazy to think that that's true. Some of us believe beer is the best nourishment, not everyone. This would be a tough ad to run now, but the way it's structured is very cool. Doctor, it is the best nourishment. The care given in brewing, even to cooling it in a filtered air, makes Schlitz beer so pure that no harm can come from it. Schlitz beer, too, has a richness in food value greater than I have found in any other beer due to the barley, hops, and yeast used. Nurse, why is it, doctor, Schlitz never causes biliousness, which is like gas and stomach pain and digestion problems and all that. It's an old school word. No worries, need to worry about it. But that was an objection they had because malt extract causes these very bad digestion pains when they were in the hospital. Schlitz beer apparently doesn't. So here it is. Doctor, because Schlitz is thoroughly aged, fermentation is completed at the brewery, not in the patient's stomach. The final step after bottling and sealing is the sterilization through which it is impossible for any germ to exist. Notice something very, very powerful here. As they talk about the benefits, they also prove those benefits immediately. So it's a promise of what it's going to do and proof. And the proof is here. The final step in bottling and sealing the sterilization through which it is impossible for any germ to exist. Very strong proof point on why it doesn't cause these digestion problems, right? And if you go back, up here it talked about it as well, right here. So right here, the care given the brewing, even to cooling it in filtered air, makes Schlitz beer so pure that no harm can come from it. They were just talking about nourishment, now they're talking about filtering. So they said, yes, it can nourish you, and then they talked about why it was so good because it was filtered in pure air and all this other stuff. So let's keep going. Nurse, my patients seem to enjoy the taste of Schlitz. Doctor, yes, even old world brewmasters have complimented Schlitz on its full rich flavor, proving the goodness of all materials. Right there, huge proof point. Old world brewmasters, right? So in the beer world, those are people that you would come to respect. Brewmasters, right? Well, they are complimenting Schlitz beer. Huge proof point. Nurse, if Schlitz beer is such a benefit to the sick, it ought to be good for the well. Doctor, it is. And if those who are well would drink more of it, we would have fewer anemic patients, we would have less stomach trouble and nerve disorders. In every way, the use of Schlitz promotes health. I can't agree with it, but that's totally cool. It's a cool ad. But notice how when they went through this ad, they bounced off this benefit proof, benefit proof, benefit proof, and they mixed in how they made the beer to prove those points. So a very cool ad. And again, you can grab it with the big book. And let's move on. Let's do one more ad, and then you can download the big book and go check out some more, and we'll save all the rest of these ads for another day, another time. But here we go. This is a more recent ad. This one actually, I think, is still running. So, does your busy brain keep you awake at night? So, it is a problem lead, so it's a problem with the question. A lot of people have sleep troubles. We sold supplements for a long time as for sleep, and it was a huge market, still is a huge market. And that's what they're talking about here. Does your busy brain keep you awake at night? So immediately you're calling out the audience with this problem, and you're connecting like, hey, does this happen to you? Now check this out. Thanks to a new breakthrough, you can fall asleep in minutes and stay asleep. So question, does it keep you awake? And then boom, you jump right into this breakthrough. And when I hear the word breakthrough, I'm thinking it's medically proven, like some sort of science breakthrough. So there's a little bit of proof element. They haven't gone deep into proof, but that's where my brain goes. And then they tell me the benefit. You can fall asleep in minutes and stay asleep. If you know that market, that's a huge thing. And now look at where they go into this ad. They start to really empathize and connect with the reader to say, hey, look, we are you. We understand your pain. They're empathizing with this person. And they're painting a picture of what their life is currently like, and they're kind of twisting the knife a little bit so they can actually bring them from the pain points off into a better place. So here we go. George would go to bed dog-tired. He'd usually fall asleep pretty quickly, but he couldn't stay asleep. Nearly every night, he'd wake up at 3 in the morning and his busy brain would kick into high gear. He would start thinking about the bills he has to pay, the unpleasant conversation at work, his to-do list for tomorrow, and whatever else was stressing him out. George tried everything to relax. He drank. Now, before I keep going, notice that empathy right there. Now, if you're going to use empathy copy, if you're going to try and connect with the reader, you better get it right. Otherwise, they'll spot it from a mile away, and your sales letter, message, video, whatever it is going into the trash. So make sure if you're going to try and connect with the audience, you nail it, which means product research, market research. All right, make sure you get that part right. But if you do get it right, it connects with the audience very, very well, right? They're saying, hey, look, we're one of you. And then it goes into this. George tried everything to relax. And this market is huge about that. When we had our phone team running, we would talk to people and they would all say it. Oh, we tried this and we tried that and we tried this and we tried this and we tried this. They tried everything, and a lot of times your prospects are doing the same thing, because when people have a problem, they will try and buy until that problem is solved. The problem with that is every time they try and buy, they become a little more skeptical to your message. So when you become this very saturated market, like the health market is, they've tried and bought, they bought and tried so much that it's very difficult, because they're like, I've tried this. So immediately they're going through their head going, oh, I tried that. So this is a cool part in this ad, because if they think they already know what it is, like if they think they get into the ad and they're like, they're just going to tell me it's warm milk, then they're gone. They're done reading. Or if they think they can guess that it's melatonin, they're done reading. So that's what they did in this ad right here. They said, George tried everything to relax. He drank warm milk, he took melatonin, he tried chamomile tea, and even over-the-counter sleeping remedies. And while they helped a little, his brain still wouldn't shut off. He got to the point where he started worrying about getting a good night's sleep hours before bedtime. This created a snowball effect that made his sleeping problems even worse. By the time George came to see me, he was desperate. His sleep problems were going on for several months with no relief in sight. I just can't stand it anymore, he told me. I sleep for a few hours, then at 2 or 3 in the morning, I'm wide awake. My mind starts spinning and I just can't shut it down. When I finally get back to sleep a few hours later, it's right before the alarm goes off. George's insomnia affected his days too. He woke up groggy and irritable, and because he was so tired, he easily forgot things and wasn't very productive at work either. So now they're still painting that picture of how bad it was, but they're telling a story, and it's a story that people who have sleep troubles can really relate to. So here it goes. I gave George a very simple all-natural remedy to take about 15 minutes before bedtime. Curiosity. Oh my gosh, what did they give him, right? So this is a big curiosity point. They tried the warm milk, they tried the chamomile, they tried melatonin, they tried all these other things, but now they're giving him something else 15 minutes before bed. I'm curious. 2 weeks later, George told me he felt like a new man. He slept like a baby all night through. His mental chatter disappeared. His memory and mood improved. He was more energetic than his work productivity shot through the roof. And it was all due to a new all-natural breakthrough I will tell you about in just a moment. So there it is again. Boom. And that answers another possible objection right here is it, for this market, is it a prescription? Is it all natural? What is it, right? But now, and look at this big cliffhanger. I will tell you about it in just a moment. And then the ad keeps going to introduce the doctor who's actually talking about it. And again, you can check out that ad at clearcutcopywriting.com/big book. I think I have a picture of it. There it is. You can go right there. Right there. I don't know why I'm pointing here because you can't see this part. You can see that part. There's the big book. But I hope this helped. One of the best ways to write compelling, persuasive copy is not to focus on like the individual sentences, but to focus on the structure. All right. And I did another video called the 4 Ps, and it talks about the different structures. But you can look at this big book of copy ideas and you can see how they structured the letter. You can see, and this works for video sales letters, it works for emails, it works for a lot of things, but you can see, well, did they go direct? Did they go indirect? Where did they promise? Where did they prove things? Reading copy like this and checking out videos like this where we break down good copywriting examples will catapult your writing ability, because you'll start to see that flow of like, okay, it's a promise, it's a proof, it's a promise, it's a proof, it's a, cliffhanger to an open loop, whatever it might be. So I hope this helps you out. Maybe you probably want to watch this video a handful of more times and really see how I dissected some of that, like where we use curiosity, where we use benefits. And again, download the big book of copy. Go to clearcutcopywriting.com/big book. Grab all those sales letters. It's going to give you inspiration. It will help you end, all right? It will help you end writer's block, because anytime you're stuck and you need something, you can go and read how one of these legendary copywriters used proof to prove something, how they used curiosity, how they used benefits, how they went direct, how they wrote the headlines, how they wrote the lead, all of that kind of stuff. It's extremely, extremely valuable. So I appreciate you watching. My name is Sean Andrew Walker, and we will see you later.